Welcome to Healing Your Family Legacy, here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Innovative, evidence-based recovery that helps to identify intergenerational trauma, allowing for freedom and embracement of the healing process. Today, episode 100, New Year's. And now your host, Dr. Donna Bevan-Lee.
This is Dr. Donna Bevan-Lee, helping you heal your family legacy. Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. I like the Happy New Year. Even though it's been, I don't even know how many years since I stayed up past 10 o'clock anyway. And this day is not, New Year's Eve is not an exception. But I want to say Happy New Year. I'm planning to watch the Rose Bowl again because my University of Utah Utes are in it again. Maybe they'll win. I don't know. But, I like New Year's Day. I like how low-key it is. I like that people, from all over the world have New Year's. I think that is one of the only holidays that we celebrate that is universal. Okay? In fact, I'm thinking about it now just because I said that, and I think it is the holiday that we all celebrate, no matter what our religion, no matter what our where we live, it doesn't matter. And if you don't believe me, it's like it starts with Sydney, Australia, and all day long they have, and here's Taiwan bringing in the New Year, and here's Sydney, Australia bringing in the New Year, and here's, they have all kinds of, on TV, of course, all kinds of countries and what they're doing, and having the clock striking midnight. It's great. It's grand. Everybody's celebrating. Because I can't stay up that late, but I really like to bring in the new year. I just watch, PBS usually has New Year's when it happens. You can watch, I can watch it even though I'm Pacific. I can watch Eastern time, and so then I can go to bed without having to stay up all night and feel really crummy the next day. But the downside of New Year's is always that people tend to, I don't know if it's as like it used to be when I was young and before I stopped drinking, but the downside was always that people got really drunk and did really dumb stuff. Would end up in very bad situations sometimes jail, sometimes with people they didn't know. Sometimes people just got too drunk and got sick. And I'm sure that happens in some places. It doesn't happen to me, but there's too much drinking. But you can still celebrate New Year. Now, one of the things that come up with New Year's is the New Year's resolution. And I've talked about this before, but I'll talk about it again. If you're going to make a New Year's resolution, think of it more as, I have a goal this year. And it's great to set goals because without goals, you're not going to reach much of anything. It's like I had to set a goal for my education or I wouldn't have finished. I wouldn't have known when I was finished. I wouldn't know what I wanted to do. Okay. I had a goal to have a family. I had to go through a lot to get one. Everybody has goals. And so what I would say is that rather than have it be a resolution, because there's something about that. It's like, and if I don't achieve this resolution, I will be a failure again. most resolutions are failures, because it's like we think of the things that we really, really want to do for ourselves, or maybe for our children, or, whatever, but they're unrealistic. All right? It's like I talked last time about having realistic expectations. And here's a situation where you can actually think, okay, let's say I want to start getting more exercise. So, what do I do? Do I go out and buy a whole new gym? Do I go out and buy a really exclusive gym membership? Do I hire a personal trainer? It's like, I can say, well, this year I'm going to start exercising. What I would say to you is that, don't make that a resolution. The way you make it a resolution is that I am going to be fit by March, or I'm going to be fit by May, and I will have lost weight, and I will eat right, and so you see how this can get really out of hand. So let's just pare it back and say, because when you pile on with a resolution, I can almost assure you that it will be a failure. Why? Because you feel overwhelmed. And so when I say it has to be a realistic expectation or a realistic goal in life, it's like you can do this. It's good to have goals. I know when I've always been very active. Well, always worked, for one thing, and worked outside when I was young. So when I would say, it's like I'm just using getting exercise, right? And so I always was able to exercise. It was just a non-event for me, because I was always doing it from the time I was young. And so when I had to redo it was after I had a child. Now, being a single parent, and, I took off. I saved money and took off 3 years when I had my child, so I could spend the first 3 years being his primary caregiver 24/7. And so if you've ever had an infant around, whether you're a single parent or not, it's, having an infant, a small child around, this is no longer about you, okay? If you're doing it right, you are responding to this infant, baby, small child's needs. And, your needs have to be that you take enough care of yourself that you can respond to those needs. That's the goal, okay? And whether or not you are still working, whether or not the child's in daycare, it doesn't matter. If the child's in daycare, that means that you're going to work, probably. And you still need to take care of yourself, because when you get the child and bring it home, it needs you. You don't get to plop in front of the TV or, start drinking or whatever. People do, but then who suffers? The child. So I'm just saying that the first about 3 years of my son's life, I didn't get to, quote, exercise the way I normally did and the way I normally do now. But I was able to take him out on a walk in a stroller almost every day. We lived in Seattle, so it rained a lot there. And so I had to get him I had to get him bundled up and, one of those things that you put over the stroller so that the baby didn't get wet. And I had to put my rain gear on, and we still went outside and, went in the stroller. And so I did that, but I couldn't do much else. It's like I couldn't go join a gym. I couldn't go climb mountains. I couldn't go on runs. I couldn't do the things that I was normally doing. I couldn't go on hikes all the time. I tried once. Now, in case you forgot, I'm small. I'm 5 feet on a good day. And, I'm height weight appropriate. I'm height weight proportionate. So, do the math. I'm not a big person. I'm pretty strong, but I'm not that strong. I had a very large child, I had to have a C-section, and it was no fun because he got stuck. He was too big to come out. Thank God for modern medicine, because child and mother would have died, but happily we didn't. Anyway, so I got one of those. Now, when my son was young, they gave us a backpack, I'm putting that in quote, for you to carry your child on your back on a hike. Okay. So, but this thing looked like one of those real old car seats that that you used to have. Oh, maybe some of you don't know this because I'm older, but there used to be a car seat that they used to have that, the baby would sit in, right? And it had a little, it was made as a metal thing. And then with canvas that the baby would sit in with this hooked onto this metal thing with little beads on the front so the baby could play with the little beads. And then it came with these little handle things. I'm showing you this, and oh well, you can't see it. But these little handle things, so you just put over the back seat or over the front seat, wherever you want the child. And so the child would sit in this ridiculously dangerous car seat, right? In the car. Now, my son didn't do that because those were outlawed but it was that same kind of thing for a backpack. So they didn't have a thing, they didn't have those two things that would go over the back of the seat. But the essential, the little metal thing, the metal bar thing that went around with canvas with two legs, for the legs. And then it was like a day pack kind of thing that you'd put around, and it wasn't very good at that. But I thought, well, I got it at my favorite outdoor store, and I decided when he was about a year old, I'm going to take him on a backpack, because I really like, not a backpack, a day hike, because I was really needing to get out there in the mountains. So off we went, and I I had a friend with me, and it's I put the thing on and put him in the pack, started going up the trail, and it wasn't steep, but pretty soon I was aware that I was tipping over backwards. When you've got a really large child, and he wasn't, understand, he wasn't, a fat kid or overweight kid. He was just a big guy. And given my stature, it just wasn't a good fit. It might have been. The ones I have now are great. I think that I could have done it because most of that weight would have been on my hips where it should have been. But anyway, so that's just a little story about trying to get back out there and get my body back going. But, after a C-section, lots of complications, not being able to do much except push a stroller around, I really wanted to get back in the mountains. I wanted to do that. And so I thought about, okay, for a New Year's resolution, I'm going to have it be my goal when he was 3. Okay. So he's no longer with me 24/7. He's now at preschool a few hours a day. So I thought, okay, I can start to get myself healthy enough, not healthy enough, but strong enough again, to be able to go on a hike again. Okay. Now remember, I'm still a single mom. So, I thought, okay, so 2 hours a day when he's at preschool until he starts school, I have to work. So I'm not going to be able to, do anything major, but I can go on a run. And so what I did was that I took him to preschool, and then on my lunch break, I put on my running clothes and went on a run to start building that aerobic back up so that by the time I could go out and hike again, I could do it. And so, that's what I'm talking about when you have goals versus resolutions. Okay. So I was thinking, okay, by the time he's 5 years old, maybe he can go on little hikes with me. By the time he's 5 years old, maybe I can have the neighbor watch him for a few hours and I can go on a little hike. I knew it wasn't going to be big. Although that summer was the first time I ever took him on a backpack. He went backpacking with me and he carried a little pack with his clothes in it and a few snacks because it was just overnight. And we had a lot of fun. But so that was, having a goal versus having a resolution. And so, what I was able to do, I was able to think, okay, what do I need to do so that I'll be ready to go back out in the mountains again when it's feasible? And why do I need to do that? It's not because I have some big selfish thing. That's church for me. I am spiritually connected in a way that I never was in church. I am when I'm in the mountains. I don't know why. I realized that was true for me as a child, too. So every year I looked at my, quote, resolution, which was really a goal. And I said, what have I done so that I can do that again? Or what do I need to do so I can do that again as soon as it's possible for me to do? Okay? And that just meant how, it's like, how old was my child? And was he able to go? Or was he able to stay with a friend for, a Saturday or, where they could play and then I could, do it again for somebody else on a Saturday. So, trying to work out all those things, those were goals that I set. And it took years to finally reach the goal of being able to go back out and hike again in the mountains. That was a goal. And then there were little goals all along the way. And when I bring this up as part of a New Year's thing, is that New Year's was just a time. It's like, so what have I done this year to achieve my goal? And what can I do this year given all of the situations that I have and knowing that, the best laid plans and expectations are planned disappointments. Okay. It's like, so I have these expectations that, I'll be able to find some trading with other parents who want to go out and do some stuff on a Saturday or Sunday or whatever, because I was still working 5 days a week. So, it's like, who knows? Maybe nobody was going to be happy to do that with me. They did, but, maybe not. So, it's like, how can I, it's like this year, what can I do to achieve the goal? And so that's what I did. And it's worked out quite well. Now, if your goal is to say, lose weight, that's a big one, right? You stop and think, okay, what do I need to do to lose weight? And please don't think, I just was like, please don't think oh, I can lose weight by going to body sculpting and have them cool, put ice on me or, go have more surgeries. If that's medically necessary, I'm all for it. But if you need to lose 15 pounds or 20 pounds, or you're trying to get rid of the baby weight or whatever, the best way to do it is to take a look at your diet and your exercise and how much sleep you're able to get. Those are the things that work the best. So, the things I would tell you work really well is like you've got to look at your diet, not just the what you eat, but the amounts that you eat. Now, I'm just going to go back to, regular how to be healthy 101 and say that drinking massive amounts of alcohol is not healthy. It will kill you, and you will not lose weight. Unless, of course, you're starving yourself and getting all of your calories through alcohol, you will lose weight and you will die sooner. Okay? That's not healthy. So you look at, there's any number of dietitians. You can go online, look under, the recommended daily requirements of different kinds of foods. And, I know it changes a lot, but here's the deal. Vegetables are good for you. It's like some kind of protein, whether it's meat or chicken or, whatever your protein source is. You don't need to overdo it on protein. If you're a vegetarian, make sure you get the right proteins. But vegetables are great for you. You need protein. You need some kind of calcium. All right? And I don't know about you, but I can't eat enough kale to get the kind of calcium that's required. So I eat dairy. And, when I was growing up, I heard that eggs were perfect food, then eggs were bad, then eggs were perfect food, then eggs were bad, then eggs were... So it's changed many times, okay? But you can look and see what the dietary needs that you have and start eating right. That means you're not eating a ton of sugar. You don't say, well, I'll never eat sugar again. No. I know that sugar is very addictive. It's also, your body breaks down sugar the way it breaks down alcohol. So if alcohol's addictive, you got to say so is sugar. And anybody that's, had weight issues knows about this. But don't deprive yourself. All right? This is where you say, okay, if I don't want to overeat sugar, that means that I've got to not have a ton of it in my house. It's just like if I don't want to drink alcohol anymore, I got to get rid of all that booze because it will yell to you, come get me, come drink me, come eat me. Don't do that to yourself. It's like one of the ways I deal with sugar is I say, well, I am not keeping ice cream in the house because why? Ice cream's one of my favorite foods. And I can rationalize and justify eating it every single day. It's a source of calcium. It's got some of the fats I need, blah, blah, blah. It's loaded with sugar. And it's, it's like if you're going to have it, you don't have it every day because if you do, you're going to have weight issues. So I just don't keep it in the house. And, at night, which is when people usually eat ice cream, unless it's in the middle of the day, in the middle of summer, and you're on vacation, you eat it at night. So who wants to go out when it's 19 degrees and get ice cream? Most people don't, okay? So you just don't keep your favorite sweets in the house. You make it so that you actually have to go out and get that. Now, if you're heavily addicted, you might be able to do that because addicts find a way. But if you say, you know what, I'm going to allow myself to have that treat once in a while, not going to keep it in the house. Why? Because it will just yell to me to come and get it. I don't want to be yelled at. And so what can I do at night if I'm used to eating a lot of sweets or potato chips or whatever it is? Because it's usually happening at night, right? When people overeat and they put on that weight that's really hard to get off, it's because they're eating at night. Well, for one thing, you can say, I won't eat anything after 7 o'clock at night. I don't need to eat anything after 7 o'clock at night. If I don't eat anything, I might go to bed at a reasonable time and not have my stomach yelling at me. And hey, maybe I might get that 8 hours of sleep, because that's the other piece. Sleep. A lot of times when people are, quote, hungry and they need something to eat, they actually need to go to sleep. They need to rest. And I know that, when I'm driving, like I drive to go see my son, and it's about a 6-hour drive. And I can tell when I'm getting too tired to drive, because I start wanting to eat something that I normally don't eat, like potato chips or, M&Ms or something like that. It's like, I don't normally eat those things. I just don't eat them. But when I'm driving and if I'm getting tired, I start craving those kinds of things. Then I know it's time to stop driving. And that means if I pull over at a rest stop and have a little nap or change drivers, because if my wife is with me, she could drive now. And, that means that the driving changes, okay? So look at those things. Say, you know what? I want to live longer. I want to live healthier. I want to be able to go out and do what I want to do and not get too tired. Now, I'm not talking about people who have chronic illnesses. I'm just talking about regular folks that don't have those kinds of issues. Say, I really want to be more the person that I've always wanted in terms of what I can do in this world. If I am healthy, I can do pretty much anything. And so what do? I look at my diet. I get professional help if I need it. I make sure I get enough sleep. If I have trouble sleeping, all I have to do is talk to somebody or go online and find out what good sleeping habits are. What do? Well, first of all, you turn off the screens. You make it dark. You go to bed at the same time at night to make sure you're going to get the sleep you need. These are basic things that anyone can do, and you don't need special equipment, unless you need something to help with your snoring. But even with that, you can get it done. Okay? And the other thing is exercise. Any other resolutions, it's like resolutions are probably going to come down to that anyway. So, Happy New Year.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Healing Your Family Legacy here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. This channel is made possible because of listeners just like you. If you would like to support the channel with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. Healing Your Family Legacy is copyright 2022, Dr. Donna Bevan-Lee, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Croft and used with permission. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.
Hey friends, Sean here, your Experience of the Soul producer. I want to take a moment to tell you about something truly exciting. The SoulWorks online community, created by your host, Cynthia Alice Anderson, and available on the Mighty Networks app. If you're looking for a place where you can explore your spiritual path, connect with others, and grow in a meaningful way, then this is for you. SoulWorks is so much more than an online community. It's a safe, inclusive space for spiritual exploration, self-discovery, and personal transformation. Inside the community, you'll find everything from uplifting spiritual studies to soul-centered growth practices, meditations, affirmations, and so much more. It's a space where you'll always be supported and never judged. The best part, membership is free. You'll have access to powerful resources, inspiring content, and a supportive group of like-minded people who are all on their own unique spiritual journeys. And if you're ready to dive deeper, there are premium options available to enhance your experience with a live Monday night talk series and extended, deeper meditations. If you're seeking a place to connect, grow, and nurture your soul, we would love to have you join us in the SoulWorks community and see where this journey can take you. Visit my.soulworkscommunity.com today.